Good morning, everybody. Well, Faith Goldie is still being silenced by the media, by everybody. She's got a lawsuit. That's not news. I called the CRTC yesterday wondering how to make a complaint about this specific thing. And I spoke with somebody, and I got it on like I recorded it, but it's not really important to play that for you guys right now. What I thought was important was to show you that it's actually kind of hard to send a complaint about this. So you can't call them to make this complaint. So when I called them, the agent directed me to this website, and the link is in the description. It's the CRTC main website. And if you get to this point here, so this is the support center. It's the contact section. So I'll show you how to get here from the beginning, because it's kind of, it's not exactly easy. It's kind of easy, but if you don't know what you're looking for, the links look different. So when you get to the home page, you scroll down a little bit and you go to find ask a question or make a complaint. Then you click on ask a question or make a complaint. And then you're brought to the support center, which is the page we were just on. And on the left-hand side, you've got popular questions. And on the right-hand side, it says make a complaint or ask a question. Now, when I originally went to make a complaint, I went to TV, and then it was advertising that I wanted to make a complaint about, but there wasn't anything that fell into what I wanted to do. So I did this with the person on the phone, and I said, so what do I do now? And he said, go back, choose accessibility, and then you get to choose contact us. Now, if you choose, so you have to go through this and you have to accept it, right? If you choose, I'd like to send a complaint, an email response. So if you choose an email response, they'll take 10 days. But if you choose a phone response, it takes 2. Are you contacting us from within Canada? Yes. How would you like us to contact you? So if you choose email, it'll be 10 days. If you choose telephone, it'll be 2 days. So choose telephone, because the election is in less than 10 days. It's on the 22nd. And so all of this was filled out, etc. And then here's where you describe your complaint, and then you hit send. So you have to go through accessibility in order to access the actual complaint list. So do that if you want to send a complaint about Faith Goldie. You cannot call in to make a complaint about the media silencing Faith Goldie. I think people should be upset about the media silencing Faith Goldie. It is not democratic. It is, in fact, written into our democracy that a free press is necessary. So these people, the Rogers Control Trust, John Tory himself, Rogers, and Bell, are colluding to prevent the democratic process from unfolding in a way that is fair. And it's very, very clear to anybody paying attention. Like, they're doing this on purpose, and they need to be held to account. So I called the CRTC to find out what the maximum fines are for Rogers and Bell for potentially doing this. And the people that I was talking to didn't know. He's like, oh, I don't know that. I said, are you the CRTC? Am I talking to the CRTC right now? And he said, yeah. And I said, so can you tell me how your agency would respond? Are Rogers and Bell allowed to just ignore this? And he said, well, no. And I said, so what can you do? And he said, well, we're going to respond, through the CRTC. With a ruling by the CRTC. And I was like, okay, what could you give me some historical explanations, some historical examples of past rulings for media conglomerates that refuse to follow election rules? Can you give me an example? Oh, I don't have any examples. So it was a exercise in frustration to sit on the phone with this person. But he was trying to be helpful. He wasn't trying to be a jerk, and I wasn't trying to be a jerk to get him or anything like that. But it was really strange to speak to the actual governing body, and the people seemed to know less about it than I did. So it was frustrating. Here's an article that was posted yesterday. Ottawa holds consultations on racism behind closed doors. This is a Globe and Mail article. Quote, the federal government has quietly launched a series of closed-door consultations on the issue of racism, hoping to avoid heated public debates on issues such as Islamophobia and systemic racism. Yeah, shocking. You've spent 2 years, so hold on, this is me going off on a little bit of a tangent. The federal government has spent 2 years lecturing all of Canada, specifically white male Canada, how racist and sexist we are. And now they want to say, well, we don't want to talk about Islamophobia or systemic racism. That debate's been had, and you guys lost. You guys are racist and sexist, so we've got to figure out a solution to these racist and sexist problems that we've defined over the last 2 years. This is called called manufacturing consent. This is called, see the news, part of a rap smear, but see the news is reporting it like this, so this is what the people think. This is garbage, guys. So anyway, back to the article. Quote, the meetings are not held in public for the simple reason that we want to be able to have in-depth discussions with experts across the country in which the participants' comments are not misconstrued or judged. Well, isn't that nice for them? While no news releases or media advisories were sent out, Mr. Rodriguez has already attended 3 invitation-only sessions in the GTA, with his department planning on holding a total of 22 meetings before the end of the year across Canada. I wonder how you get an invite to that. Maybe I should email Mr. Rodriguez and see if I can go to one of these 22 meetings. Mr. Rodriguez says he wants to focus on concrete solutions to specific problems, deliberately avoiding a debate over the issue of systemic racism. Quote, that expression is not a part of my vocabulary, he said. Canada is not a racist society where everyone lives. So this is the government trying to do damage control. Rodriguez is the new one of the new people moved in the cabinet shuffle earlier this year. Shocking that Trudeau didn't move Ms. Freeland when she was failing at NAFTA. Anyway, neither here nor there. Okay, so now back to the article. However, 2 of Mr. Rodriguez's caucus colleagues, Liberal MP Selina, we've dealt with Selina before, and Greg Fergus have both said they believe in the existence of systemic racism in Canada. The expression is also used in the federal consultation documents, which define the term as, quote, patterns of behavior, policies, or practices that are part of the social and administrative structures of an organization which create or perpetuate a position of relative disadvantage for racialized persons. So I want to make sure that everybody understands this. One of the people who's running 22 meetings before the end of the year and already attended 3, quote, that expression, systemic racism, is not part of my vocabulary, he says. However, MP Selina and Greg Fergus both have said that they believe in the existence of it, and the federal documents make reference to that phrase. So it really should be a part of his vocabulary, and he should be taking a position on it one way or the other, whether he likes it or not. The fact is, it's there, and if you want to unwind that bell, you've got to talk about it. You've got to say, this is what systemic racism is defined as, and this is what we're specifically doing about it. And to be very clear, I think the idea of systemic racism is ridiculous and a way to silence people, and especially like unconscious bias and all this crap is crap. It makes no sense, and the idea that whole swaths of people are racist and they don't even know it, and so they need training and retraining and all sorts of other stuff is patently, I reject it outright. And your government's, the federal government's currently position on this is laughable. It's absolutely laughable. So anyway, back to the article. Jasmine Zine, a professor of sociology and Muslim studies at Wilfrid Laurier University, says she's afraid federal consultations are off to a false start in these circumstances. Me too, Jasmine. Quote, if you take out systemic racism, what is left? Or what is left is the idea that people don't like each other and don't get along on the basis of negative attitudes about people from different backgrounds. It becomes an individual problem, in other words. In other words, she's reframing this as, if you take out systemic racism, the individuals here who don't like us are racist. And that's their individual problem, in other words. So it's ridiculous. This whole article is trying to turn the whole thing around. However, Mr. Rodriguez says he wants the consultations to focus on specific issues such as high unemployment and incarceration rates among members of particular communities, or access to affordable housing. In addition, to the working groups, Canadian Heritage has launched a website to gather public comments on issues of racism. Identity issues will always fuel passionate debates. Our goal is to get to the bottom of things without getting into a political debate. We want this to be neutral in political terms and done professionally, Mr. Rodriguez says. We're looking for facts and, most importantly, solutions. So the way to do that is non-public consultations with hand-picked experts, so the elites can tell us that we're racist and that here's the solution to your terrible racists, you racists, right? Is that about it? Does that about cover it? I can't wait till October to get rid of these idiots. Okay, just in case you've heard that Canada is destroying the world by drinking from straws, I wanted to show you guys this. This is the countries polluting the ocean the most, and Canada's not even on there. It's insane. It's like we send our straws to land-based, what are they called? Landfills? We don't send our straws to the ocean. You know what we do send to the ocean? Human feces. We just That's no problem. Just ask Minister McKenna. She has no problem gumming up all sorts of waters with feces, and whales be damned. It doesn't matter. Send that sewage right to the ocean, right, McKenna? That's right? Yeah, straws are the real problem. Disgusting. So anyway, here's a chart to share with your straw-obsessed, news-obsessed friends, if they're happening to be obsessed about that particular distraction today. Here's one of the 2 last stories I've got to this morning. The Times of London is reporting that the definition of woman was banned from the sides of buses in Edinburgh over fears it could offend trans people. Link to said article for the Times. So what kind of world do we live in where the definition of woman is offensive to people enough that formerly reputable newspapers are reporting on this? Like, enough people are like, the era of being offended for somebody is over, right? We can't start saying, hey, somebody might be offended because you put that over there. You can't. Somebody's going to be offended about everything. Anything of matter, anything that matters is going to offend somebody. So, I mean, we need to get over this. This is ridiculous. Let's put up the definition of man and woman and let people be offended by it. Get over it. Holy cow. And here's the last part. This is why I didn't do a video last night. I'd never heard of this person before, Eric Cloper, and apparently he's a very, very smart guy. He's very, very intelligent. He was magna cum laude at Harvard, I believe, at 18 years old, and he talks about that in this presentation. And this presentation is it's called Sex and Circumcision, An American Love Story by Eric Cloper. The faculty member who invited him to give this talk was summarily fired after he finished. And if you're interested in why, well, he's discussing the genital cutting culture of North America, and specifically the United States. And between minutes 40 to 50, he talks about what the purpose of the foreskin is and why it was removed, and it blew my mind. I had no idea. I was like, what? So that was an interesting thing that took all of my attention last night, and so much so that I didn't do a video. But man, really interesting, good talk, and he's an entertaining speaker. So if you've got a bit of time, toss it on the podcast and listen away. It's very, very interesting. He's got his own YouTube channel as well. So it's worth checking out. All right, thanks for watching. And we're going to be talking about the Global Compact on Migration later on today, and a couple of other stories I've been watching to develop, because there's a lot going on, and we might be signing our sovereignty away in December, but I'll get to that in the next video. Thanks for watching, everybody.